Are we well? Yeah. Good. We're not going to do it a third time because it's not a fucking panto. Good evening. My name is Kiran. I recently graduated from university in Leeds. Thank you. But you guys, you're a little bit closer. You can probably tell from the colour of my skin that I studied medicine. My parents are very proud, and by proud I mean pushy. There you go. It's quite a nice niche, being an Asian comic at university. Meant I got to do some of the shows that the white comedians didn't get to do. For example, I did a gig recently for the Leeds Pakistani Society, or PAKSOC. That was nice because I got to open with the line, "Give us a cheer if your first or second name is Mohammed." I wasn't invited back this year. We were talking about marriage earlier. Marriage, really big thing in Indian culture. Arranged marriage, for example. It's a really big issue in some provinces of India, such as Birmingham and Leicester. Fella at the front, you a fan of music? What kind of music are you into? Rap music, me too. I'm glad you said that because I've got a bit about rap music coming up. So it plays into it very nicely. Like my man here, used to love listening to rap music, but I've had to stop listening to it now because I find it very awkward to listen to rap music with my parents around. Because you know, it's got a lot of swearing and derogatory language in it. I'll give you an example. The other day I was in the car with my parents and my brother put a song on. Now I'm going to read to you some of the lyrics of said song to see if you think they're appropriate for a family journey. Spoiler, they're not. And before I do this, actually, I should probably explain, because there's one word in rap music that it's widely accepted that you're not allowed to say, unless you're of Afro-Caribbean descent. So obviously, I won't be saying this word, and instead I'll be replacing it with the word Nigel. The song reads, Nigel, 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 Nigel. I'm 100% Nigel. Nigel, 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 Nigel. I'm 200% Nigel. The author continues. Nigel, 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 Nigel. Why did the police hate Nigels? Nigel, 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 Nigel. They hate us because our dicks are bigger. So that's not a very family-friendly song, is it? I feel like it's the kind of thing my grandma probably wouldn't enjoy. Namely because she doesn't understand any English. I've had a bit of a crisis of identity recently. All started because when you're doing comedy you have to travel. And when you travel people tend to ask where you're from. Now I found I have to give a different answer to this question depending on who's asked it. If one of you guys asked, I'd say I was from Stoke-on-Trent because that's where I was born. Someone laughed. Thank you. So you know that's where I was born. It's a bit of a rundown place. When I was growing up there, Stoke, but they spent some money in it now. As the old saying goes, you can't shine a turd, but apparently you could put a Nando's and a Cineworld in it. So that's nice. Stoke was the biggest city without a Nando's, and then we got a Nando's, we've lost that fucking award, didn't we? That's what I'd say if you guys asked me. Now if I was asked where I was from by an elderly white gentleman in the hospital, he doesn't want to know about Stoke-on-Trent and our delicious peri-peri chicken. He wants to know why my face doesn't quite look like his face. He wants to know if that shop on the corner is still open. And how much it'd be for a taxi to the train station. And I found out the other day there's a third scenario to this, in which I have to give a completely different answer to this question. Jumped into a taxi being driven non-surprisingly by a middle-aged brown man. This man claimed his name was Dennis, which I'm not so sure about, unless Dennis is short for Dinesh Singh Kohli. And Dennis asked where I'm from, and I know what he's thinking in his head when he hears that question. He's thinking, which part of India are your family coming from? Oh, Gujarat. My aunties, uncles, brothers, sisters, grandmas, friends, doggies also come from the same place. We are practically family, you know? And then I went round to his house for dinner. So that was nice. I do talk a lot about being brown, or wholemeal, as I like to call it. And part and parcel of being brown also means that I'm quite a hairy person. I quite like it. It keeps me warm in the winter and single in the summer. Because the perception of hair amongst women has changed throughout time. It used to be sexy to be hairy, whereas now women like men so hairless that they'd make a boiled egg look like Chewbacca. And that's difficult for me now, because what do? Do I keep the hair? Do I get rid of it? And I've done the only logical thing, and I've gone for what I like to call the half and half. Now, I know what you're thinking. Has he shaved half his chest for a 30-second joke? And you're absolutely fucking right now. Interestingly, and I didn't know this before I shaved just one half my chest, but because one half long, one not, because of the static difference between the two sides, it actually now repels vagina. So that's nice as well. I'm almost coming up to my time, so I'll leave you with one final thing. Because I told that joke recently at one of these Asian gigs that I did. And after the show, this old Indian couple came up to me. And the guy said, I want to talk to you. Don't laugh, that's racist. And number one, I don't think your joking was very appropriate. And number two, nobody wants to see your fat belly like this. I know, but you know what they say? Parents always are the harshest critics. I've been Kiran, thank you very much.